You really can't understand the strike without understanding the context and conditions in which it was created.
So State ultimately became, at one level, much more than Berkeley did, a base for working class, actual people who were involved in both theoretical activities and practical activities. That is, people who thought about action and engaged in action.
The Negro Student Association that later James changed over to the Black Student, which reflected a political movement and growth over the overall society. People were catching hell for the few that were there, and that students organized out of need and necessity for their survival and to graduate.
The Black Student Union was the sort of leading Black student organization, I would say. And I don't mean just on this campus, I mean nationally.
There were no courses that told accurate histories, that told histories from the perspective of the communities that were organizing. Beginning of the strike in 1968, I think like 7% of the entire campus were students of color.
Consciousness was shifting because blacks were playing such a prominent role in change in the United States. And so people became more self-conscious. So you had the combination of the cultural and then the political. That is the demand for change, the demand for the centrality, for the United States to recognize the centrality of black leadership, and the conditions that not only existed in the Deep South, but existed all over the United States, and in fact all over the world. Ethnic groups on the campus, what we call we didn't call them ethnic, we call third world peoples on the constituencies on campus, to build their own organizations so we could have a broad constituency, but that everybody had a voice, right? Just as we didn't want to have whites running the world, we didn't want to have blacks. No, we didn't want to have black supremacy either. So what we did was we tried to organize all these groups, and we formed them into something called Third World Liberation Front.
Higher education was a space that was not reserved for working class people, was not reserved for working class communities of color in particular. And the members of the BSU, members of the Third World Liberation Front, these were people who, they were migrants. They had come out of, the Deep South. They'd come out of Texas, Louisiana, their parents, that is, Latinos their parents were immigrant parents, right? And so the community invested a lot of hopes and dreams in their children. And here the children were basically saying, we want an education that's relevant. We want an education that is not only reflective of our historical and cultural realities, but is in service to the movements themselves.